And here we go. We have liftoff. Propulsion continues to be normal.
R68 chamber pressure looks good.
Doubling up. Roger, with planet.
Water towers, fly! Yes!
Tango down to nominal.
Fighting down to ST off. Bring in ST off. Off. It's orange!
R45! Oh my god! Oh my god!
Decollage. Put that in the big bag, Jingle.
343 unfolds to go.
Indeed.
We rise together, back to the moon and beyond.
If methane would be ignited.
And here we go. We have liftoff. Propulsion continues to be normal.
R68 chamber pressure looks good.
Doubling up. Roger, with planet.
Water towers, fly! Yes!
Tango down to nominal.
Fighting down to ST off. Bring in ST off. Off. It's orange!
R45! Oh my god! Oh my god!
Decollage. Put that in the big bag, Jingle.
343 unfolds to go.
Indeed.
We rise together, back to the moon and beyond.
If methane would be igniting in the flare, correct?
Yikes. You good? We don't need any more of these.
Well, hello everybody. Welcome back to some exciting Starbase testing of Flight 5 Starship. Now, this is where everybody has already been saying in chat, what's this about then? Well, we know it's not a full wet dress rehearsal because for that you get many clues, not least the evacuation of Boca Chica village, which has not happened, and the roadblock moves to a certain area far, far away. Make it sound like another state, just further down the road, and then we know it's a full wet dress rehearsal. So this will be another partial wet dress rehearsal or a fueling test, tanking test, whatever you want to call it, but it'll still be exciting. We'll still see the vehicle get nice and frosty, so we thought we'd definitely go live commentary for this. Now, thankfully you don't have to listen to my monotonous voice all the way through this. We have special people with us. Say hello, Ryan Webber.
Well, hi, Chris. Hi, everyone. How's it going today? Some fun full stack testing we have.
We also, maybe via the magic of actual locality of Starbase itself, Jack. Are you with us, Jack? You sound wonderful. That's good news.
Yeah, I'm trying a bit of a new location today. I'm at the Rocket Ranch Outpost, which I've never actually seen a test from, but I am looking at the Starship right now. I'm not looking at it on screen. I'm looking at it with my own Mark 1 eyeballs. So, hooray!
Speaking of the ranch, we have a chat command for the ranch as it is, but I've got another one for you because Anthony Gomez, who runs it, he did an appeal yesterday noting about the terrible flooding they've had in the area, which has affected their operations. So now you can all do this yourselves. You don't have to wait for me to do it. Is command help ranch, and it will send a link to Anthony's tweet, which has got all the information and the link to help out there because they're good peoples, aren't they, Jack?
Yeah, I mean, it's a community hub down here. It's an amazing place, and it was a sort of a weapon of last resort, I know, but at the same time, it wasn't getting better, and with all the storms coming through, it's been a doozy. So every little bit helps. Thank you, everyone, for doing that. I know Anthony appreciates it so much.
Very good. So, what we're going to do today is we're going to wait for the next milestone of this preparations to actually fielding the rocket. Ryan, maybe you want to just inform people who may be just joining for the first time and people like me who keep forgetting what we can expect next in the process towards fueling the rocket.
Yeah, so basically they started the OLM vent and the tower vent, so that is the start of chill down systems of the lines that go right up to the OLM and up the tower to the ship QD arm and the ship QD itself. So these will take about 45 minutes or so to chill down, give or take. We will see the tower vent shut off and then come back. So just because it shuts off, it'll shut off maybe in it's like 15, 20 minutes. That doesn't mean they're fueling. It means it just is the way it does it. So it'll shut off, it'll come back. But once it shuts off for a second time, and once the OLM vent shuts off, that means they're into fueling. Now, they'll most likely fuel the methane first. So we'll start to see the methane subcoolers start to spool up a little bit more, and you'll see like really large jets of cryo clouds just kind of going straight up in the air from the methane subcoolers, and then they'll start loading LOX. So that's kind of what we have for about the next 45 minutes to an hour. So,
very good. And by the way, if you do have any pressing questions you want to ask us, especially Ryan, because he's the expert on this one, hey, do at NASASpaceflight, followed by your question. It goes into a special panel. I am notorious for not looking at the production screen, which is absolutely live as I'm talking screen. I am just one of those numpties who looks at the YouTube channel at the same time as you all are doing it as well. But that way I can actually read chat as well. But even our panel now, thanks to the wonders of Jay, who I always forget to thank, who's actually producing this stream. So thank you, Jay, for producing it. Has actually done some witchcraft with our panel where I can see both live chat and submitted questions. So, well, hey, best of both worlds. In other words, ask your questions and we'll answer as many as possible. Now, we're seeing quite a lot of the orbital launch mount event going on here. Ryan, is this pretty exciting to you?
yeah, it's been a little bit. I mean, we've only had one other piece of full stack testing recently. That was only last week. Well, yeah, it was the 23rd. So, I mean, and before that, the last time we had any fueling of a full stack was Flight 4, which is back on June 6th. So, I mean, it's been a while. It's nice to see. I can't wait for this flight. Whenever that's going to be. It's still looking, according to the FAA, it's still end of November, but I mean, who even knows at this point?
Well, we're going to get to that because I want to thank some people. Eddie White has gifted a World Red Team membership. Thank you, Eddie. Just doing that is just awesome because we get some massive support levels, but it's the combination of everybody helping out that really makes it work because there's a lot of money going into this operation, and people were thanking us for camera views, some really nice camera views earlier on. I said, look, it's because of you guys. I mean, we couldn't go out and get a bank loan and do this. It's because we've regenerated the support we get back into what we do on the stream, and that's why we can provide all these views. So it's reciprocal because you're getting back what you're helping out with us. But again, I always say this, and this is something that I think is important to me. Most people watching these streams, and I guarantee you it's by far the most people, probably over 90%, just can't go around spending money on YouTube channels. It's just, they haven't got disposable income. You know, times are tight for everybody. So if you want to help out, seriously, just pass on the word, just like the streams, just things like that are just free. And it does help. And if you get a large amount of people doing that, that's just as much value to us. It really helps us because in the way YouTube works. Thank you for all your support in any way, either monetary or just basically supporting us in spirit, because it is important. By the way, speaking of someone who's always supporting us madly, is Matt's, who's got his own command in Nightbot. Hats off to Matt, it is, because he's gifted 20 Red Team memberships. So that's 20 people who are probably just spoken about there who've got a free membership for a month, which is really cool. It's one of the cool things YouTube's done. Richie Mason's gifted 5 Red Team memberships. Thank you, Richie. Astro95 Media, I know who that is. That'll be Nathan. When we started NSF, I'm going to rabbit hole here now. When we started NSF off, it was just a site and a forum. And then it was all the Max Q guys, with now Astro95 Media, who went out and literally took photographs at KSC of shuttle. And it was like we were getting our own photography we could share with them on actual shuttle. And they're all still in L2 and what have you. So it was a great start to what then became this. Really is. We've then advanced many years on to this live streaming and with proper cameras and what have you. So there was a nice little synergy there with Astro 95 Media. Who did a super chat. Thank you, Nathan. Hoping we get an October surprise for IFT5, but looking forward to being whenever it goes. Keep up the great work, gents. Thank you very much. And by the way, that's my little jump off point to discuss the potential launch date changes. Now, I'm going to bring Jack back in on this one because right now, officially, in the documentation, because it was by the FAA, they were saying there's no way they're going to approve before end of November, or maybe December. That's where we're standing. And SpaceX didn't say anything else against that, apart from like they were complaining about it, but they did not counter it and say, well, hang on a minute, we're actually going to launch this date. But we have been seeing some documentation, which is still nothing to take to the bank, talking about a mid-October launch. But I can speak from my own perspective of people I know, and I'm sure Jack may be able to throw some colour onto this, that there is very much potential, and that's all it is right now, until SpaceX or Elon says something, of an mid-October launch. Well, how would you phrase it, Jack?
You know, I think it's the case that SpaceX is getting ready in case the date is able to be moved left by the FAA or whatever regulatory circumstances are happening behind the scenes right now. So SpaceX's readiness for a mid-October launch seems to be tracking towards, they're going to be ready, legitimately ready with an entire stack that's been fully tested. So we have to be ready. I mean, that's basically where it's at. It could happen, it could not happen, but given the notices that have gone out, and sort of the rumblings that we're hearing, it seems entirely possible that it does end up being mid-October, maybe even as soon as the 13th. So we'll have to wait and see what happens, but we don't have the luxury of playing chicken with the schedule, right? Like, we have to just say, okay, well, we're ready. Like, if it does in fact happen, so be it. And if it doesn't, if it ends up being late November after all it's said and done, then hey, at least we were ready now. So I don't know. That's not really a great answer, Chris, but that would be my answer. Is we have to behave in such a way that, anticipating that it actually somehow miraculously does manage to in fact launch as soon as the 13th. And if you're trying to see it in person, unfortunately, this is one of those launches where it seems like it's not going to be an easy one. It's not going to be shooting fish in a barrel. You're going to have to be on the ball and maybe even take some risks, but we'll just have to see how it plays out.
I thought that was a better answer than mine, because that is where we really are standing right now. We have to be prepared for all contingencies, including the potential, even though it sounds crazy, that this might be launching in days' time. We have to be prepared. We have been prepared for it, and we are continuing to prepare for it. I think the important thing is that for people who want to go and watch this in person, there's every chance that you should be in that stance as well. But I'm not going to put on X, everyone get on a plane, because it might not even launch on that. It might still be the FAA in play. It might still be things like that. We have to wait and see. I think one key thing that we should look out for today is that if they do this nice partial loading test, SpaceX normally put out a nice drone shot photograph on X. They didn't do that for stacking, which was surprising, because those are the opportunities they have to then say something like, "And we're setting this date pending regulatory approval." So it might be a case of that, right? Yeah.
Go ahead, Ryan.
I was say, just wait. My guess is they'll do this load test. They'll have the drones up. They'll take a shot of it, and then they'll tweet out, "Oh, it's completed another partial load test. It's ready for launch pending regulatory approval." And then what they'll do over the course of the next couple of days, if they keep it stacked, they'll keep continuing to take sunrise or day or sunset photos, and they'll keep posting the stack again and again and again, saying, "Oh, it's ready. It's ready. Watch." They'll do it, and then they'll destack, and it'll stay destacked for a bit. I'd be willing to bet money that's what they're going to do.
Also, I mean, what?
I knew that was going to happen. I was going to pause, thinking, was Jack going to speak? I thought, no.
I'm sorry.
That second we both spoke is like typical.
I took a beat too long. I'm sorry, Chris. My question is no village evacuation today, so this is going to be a partial wet dress. What happens if we just don't hear anything, and there's a closure scheduled for the 13th? Like let's say they schedule a road closure for the 13th, and more of these sort of indicators start popping up. What happens if it's like the 12th and we don't have any official word? I mean, we're just going to have to behave as if anything's on the table. This is it's a tricky situation to be in. Anyways, go ahead, Chris.
No, again, it's first of all, Ryan, you have my permission to do an Alex. If you see something of note, please interrupt me if I'm mid-flux. You know what I'm like? I'll go on for a few minutes. So you can go, oh, like Alex does, which is his indication he's seen something. Right. Again, there's lots of questions about this. Phil's asking, are you ready if they announce mid-October? Yeah, we are. We're as ready as we can be. I mean, that's how it'll work. And the fun thing is, if they go for it, it doesn't necessarily mean a launch. I've been quite amazed, actually, by the lack of scrubs they've had. I think it was one scrub on Flight 1. Remind me, Ryan, was it one scrub on Flight 1 and everything else went first time?
Frozen valve on Flight 1, and then Flight 2 got pushed. They never went into the count, but they got pushed because when they went to do final checks, they weren't happy with some of the grid fin motor data, so they went and remember they destacked the ship. They took the hot stage ring off. They then swapped like 3 motors, put the ring back on, and restacked the vehicle in like 12. It was like 12 or 20 hours. It was like just instant. It was pretty quick, pretty impressive. But yeah, I'm amazed they haven't had any scrubs. Considering the testing history of Starship, I am astonished they haven't had scrubs or more of them.
I am too. I honestly said, and I was made to look a fool, not for the first time, ahead of these flights, that I was saying, look, until they get to about flight 10 to 20, I would expect them, because it's such a big rocket and there's a lot of fueling involved, and then that risks more things such as leaks and what have you, which is not terrible to have a leak. Every rocket has a leak now and again. To have multiple scrubs. Now, I was expecting us to do multiple launch day streams for these early flights, and yet we've seen the results. And again, that's probably encouraging, especially for the rapid reusability goals that SpaceX has got for this vehicle. So positives, again, but let's just play it by ear. On the whole launch day, I'm sure this question is going to come up all the way through the stream. And with other people coming on, like Adrian later, I'm sure you probably get some more informed answers. But from our point of view, is wait and see. You got to be very careful about what you say out there in social media, because until it's official, you can't really start throwing around things, because you might literally risk someone taking a week off work for no reason whatsoever. But we'll play it as we've seen it, and right now we're seeing it as a chance. There is a chance, but it's not official yet.
I'll put it this way. I rent gear every time there's a Starship launch, because I often will rent very expensive pieces of equipment that I can't afford to buy myself. For example, like a $14,000 lens, things like that. I have a $900 gear rental that got shipped out today that covers the week around the 13th. So if it doesn't go, then I'm out $900. But I'm currently betting that it is going to in fact happen, and that is why I did not cancel my rental order. So if that helps inform you, like the audience is thinking about the plausibility of this, I have personally deemed it plausible enough that I went through with the rental and didn't cancel it. But there's a data point for you.
Here's the thing. Like, okay, they've got Note Mars out. Or got some of them, I should say. They have some of the NOTAMs. They still need, like, the Mexican Airspace NOTAMs. They still need the Marine Safety Information Bulletins. They still need the actual TFR itself. They need, of course, they need the license still. They don't have that. And then they need the road closures. Like, okay, say the road closures do come out. Say all the notices come out. And the closures. Like, I really don't know how to approach that, because I guess in theory they could get the license like right before they launch, because they can if you go by the license, technically speaking, they can go right up until like just short of engine ignition, and then they could abort if they don't get it. But I don't know if they really want to play that game with the FAA. Is that a game?
I kind of feel like that's where we're at, dude. Honestly, I sort of feel like that's where we're at.
I mean, they could do that a couple of times, which means a couple a couple of flight streams for us, and then nothing happens. It just keeps getting aborted because they don't have a license. And for all,
I
of
mean,
you
let's
thinking, for all of you
let's
thinking
not
they-
forget that SN8 did launch without a license.
if
I
they
mean,
try an orbital flight like this without a license, yeah, no, they don't want to do that. They don't want to poke that bear because you remember,
I don't
Falcon
know.
9 is still grounded right now. The FAA could just be like, yeah, no, you're not flying Falcon 9 either. No, they could pull that launch license if they so wanted to. They could.
You know, I don't know. It's something we'll just have to wait and see what happens. And until we know more, or SpaceX tells us themselves, we'll just have to watch and see what exactly occurs. Certainly, it's going to shape up to be an interesting week for Starship, one way or the other.
Yeah, I mean, one thing I will say is that if anything does get announced, you're not going to miss out. I guarantee you, in any one of the mediums, be it me on X, be it people in chat, let's face it, if you're watching Starbase live religiously, like a lot of you do, someone's going to tell you if something gets released in public. You're not going to be like, do I need to check X again in about an hour's time? They're going to let you know. So the community is great in that respect, that someone will see it. Probably before even I get a tweet out. It really does work that way, I found in Starbase Live. So keep an eye out, because you never know. This is probably a day where it could happen, because there's every opportunity for SpaceX to put out a nice full stack photograph from a drone shot and say, by the way, did we tell you we're going to launch in a few days' time? The FAA seems to be close, so we're going to go for it. It's going to be really intriguing on launch day if they don't have the license and they're just going to go into countdown and see what happens. Oh, dearie me. That'd be fun. I kind of like that, actually, to be fair. Right, anyway.
There's power vent off.
Oh.
So it's expected. It's expected. It'll come back on maybe in about 15 minutes.
Very good.
Yeah, you can see the vent right there, like just barely trickling out a little bit of condensation by the stairs, sort of on the middle right of your screen, lower down. So neat.
Is expected.
Well, more thanks, by the way. I should absolutely make sure I thank these people who have been very patient waiting for me to call out their names, because I think it is really cool, because Andy has been in the store. Unfortunately, he's put hi NSF, need Jack in a kilt. That's not going away, is it, Jack? I mean, we need to find a way for that to go away, because people are seriously expecting it at some point. But you got the patch, Andy, so well done.
No comment.
I was gonna wait for you to say nothing. I was gonna say no comment from Jack, but Jack just solved that for me saying no comment. There we go. Henrik has become a Capcom member. It means you have access to our Discord, which I spend way too much time in, because it's a cool place. It's a member Discord, so there's very little issues as far as you get on some public Discords where everyone's a free-for-all. It's a lot more about, it's basically our community, and our community is already awesome, so you can imagine it being a real cool place to hang out. It's got everything from all the rockets, all the rocket launch companies, all the updates, even off-topic stuff like sports ball, where I inform Americans that football is the one which is a round ball that you kick with your foot. And we got one Mr. Wolfie, who gifted 5 Red Team memberships. Phil, who I always see, again, Mr. Wolfie, I see your name all the time. And Phil, I see your name all the time, gifted Red Team membership. Richard Mason's become a Capcom member, so you'll be in Discord soon. By the way, it takes about an hour to integrate. It's an automatic thing between YouTube and Discord. And, oh, was that the put-up vent coming to life there?
It does that. It goes on and off, on and off.
I get excited about everything I do. Right. So, yes, so Discord, it basically is a YouTube, your membership on YouTube gets integrated to Discord, and it's about an hour. I've noticed that. Most people say it takes no more than an hour. Thank you very much for your support, by the way. Matthew, thanks, guys and girls. Got a store message here. If I'm trying to click on it, here we go. Let's see what you got from the store. Let's see how long it takes for me clicking it to where it comes up on the screen. You got a patch as well. The Flight 5 patch. Pauline did amazing work with that design, as she does with all our patches, but I think she gets better and better. It sounds terrible. She gets better and better. I honestly think they're better and better the more we go, and I kind of can't wait for Flight 6 now, because Flight 5
I don't know,
is probably the best one so far.
I don't know what I get more excited for, seeing the new patch design each time she does one, or seeing the other it's always a treat, and I'm really excited for this upcoming launch, but I think I might be perhaps equally excited for launches in the future. Like, what is Pauline going to do when there's crew on Starship? What kind of design is Pauline going to make when, they're launching Starlinks or a human landing system
Shooting a
ship?
ship.
So yeah, it's gonna be a treat. And if you manage to get like all of them, I think they'll all sort of look very good next to each other because they're all designed by one person. I don't know. I like the patches.
Yep, I agree. Troy got something from the store as well. Let's see what you got, Troy. 1 second. Awesome job. Again, that's awesome. Someone's buying something from the store, patch 5, and then thanking us for it. It's like going into a supermarket and saying, get your food, and going to the customer service desk and saying, as you're rolling your trolley out to your car, thank you. Thanks very much. Appreciate everything you do, supermarket. It really, think about it. It's kind of like, it means a lot to me that someone is supporting us, buying something, and then saying thank you for it. It's like mad.
I mean, it means a lot, and because, like you said, it's they're thanking us for it. But really, like all the time when we're thanking people for support, I'll always say, stuff's not cheap. Data's not cheap. Cameras aren't cheap. Time isn't cheap. Software development, server fees, like all that stuff. And I'll frequently, thank people for helping us keep the lights on by getting some merch and getting a cool thing in return. But I also lately have been thinking more like, man, you guys know what we could do if we had like 25% more budget or like 50% more budget? Like the things that we could do, the ideas that we have floating around, there's so much cool stuff that could be done. It's just a matter of support. And every cool thing that we can do is thanks to everybody, getting the patch, coming out, doing a super chat, or if it's not a monetary thing, hitting the like button. And how you guys know how YouTube works. But yeah, it's appreciated.
Absolutely, yes. Got a load of questions as well. We're going to mix it up. It doesn't matter, I'm going to see questions in chat. I'll literally be reading straight off the chat if it comes to it, because I tend to have my eyes averted towards a good question that pops in. Doesn't have to be at NASASpaceflight. That's just a way of guaranteeing that once the scrolling off the page happens, it really means we can still see it, because it goes into a panel. So even if it's like 10 minutes ago, we'll still be able to see it. That's why we always say at NASASpaceflight in chat, and it goes into programming. But Lex asks, and this is one for you, Ryan, how does SpaceX plan on controlling roll? Can the fins control it?
So if you're talking about the booster, roll is controlled via it's RCS while it's high enough in the atmosphere, and once it gets low enough in the atmosphere, it's the grid fins. Ship is RCS, or reaction control systems. Basically use tank vents to create an impulse to just move the vehicle. It's basically what it is.
I took this to mean, how do they control roll during launch? And that, in part at least, is controlled by gimbaling the engines on the booster.
Well, yeah.
So
yeah,
it's not.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I was gonna say, if it's during launch, it is by the engines, the gimbaling of the Raptor centers. So, yeah.
Yep.
We've also got more support. Max E, hot take, they're going to catch it on Flight 5. Right. This is kind of like a lead on to a question I've got, which is from a lot of people asking me, saying, well, if they do launch in a few days' time, maybe they've just reverted back to the Flight 4 profile. That doesn't necessarily mean it's automatic approval anyway, because Adrian did ask that question of the FAA and got a quote back saying we'd still have to look at it, we'd still have to check out, things like the changes to TPS, which is what they've done with Ship 30. So there's not necessarily guaranteed that is a free reign to just launch whenever they want on the Flight 4 license with a Flight 5 vehicle. I personally also think that it's not very SpaceXy or Elon to go back when they say they're going to progress forward and try and catch it, especially with all the testing they've been doing, including just recently with those naughty bags, should we say, those water bags that they've been testing the chopsticks with. I think they're all still going for Flight 5 as a catch. Do anyone want to disagree with me? Ryan, do you disagree with that, or do you agree?
Yeah, they'll go for the catch. And there's the tower vent back. That was a little bit quicker. That's like 7 minutes. But they're gonna go for it. There's no reason why they could go for the Flight 4. But if we remember, Adrian had reached out and asked about the possibly heat shield changes or whatever. There was never a firm answer on whether or not these vehicles would actually be that same configuration. So they might be able to do it. They might not be able to do it. But one way or the other, they seem to be going for it. So the catch. So, yeah.
Very good. I like this question because it's a question we know the answer to, but it's also something where we get a lot, especially with a lot of heightened interest on the potential launch coming up. We're going to get a lot of people who may not be avid Starbase watchers and not big on Starship, and they ask questions that if we answered them, most people in chat might know the answer, but the ones who are joining will appreciate the answers. So Mr. Anderson asks, is the methane involved? Is the methane involved in this test, or just LOX and N2 nitrogen? Ryan,
Oh, sorry. Oh, it's probably going to be a combination of methane and liquid oxygen. There really isn't a need to load LN2 into the methane tanks for this. You want to test the full operation of the methane subcoolers and the pumps and the methane tanks themselves. So they'll do a load of methane and liquid oxygen on this test.
yeah, if we were to describe this as a mini wet dress rehearsal, which is what it probably is, the terminology I should say, it's definitely not a full wet dress rehearsal. If we're classing this as a mini wet dress rehearsal, that literally means they're taking like a launch day. That's what a full wet dress rehearsal is. It literally is the launch day, countdown, and all the procedures, everyone on console. The only thing they don't do is light the engines. That's what a wet dress rehearsal is. So a mini wet dress rehearsal is a partial load of both tanks with the commodities, in this case LOX and methane, on the vehicle, and then they'll abort at a certain point and detank the vehicle. That's what they do. Why are they doing it again after they've done a partial one already? Just a matter of before it was actually restacked again, is a question we don't know the answer to, and that comes up quite a lot in chat. I've noticed people asking why they're repeating that test, especially after SpaceX said they're ready to launch. The word they're ready to launch is fair. It's fair because technically they could technically have restacked it and just gone to a launch day. I've got no disagreement with that, but also we did expect some more testing, to say the least. And of course, the big caveat here is this is not the final stack for launch. They will have to destack one more time for the FTS installation and arming, won't they, Ryan? Because the arming of the FTS is a few days before launch.
Yeah, you want as little amount of time with explosives on these vehicles as you can get. So they will do it a few days before launch, whenever that is. So, that's one thing to keep out for. We won't be able to catch them carrying the explosives from the bunker because, well, the bunker doesn't exist on the launch site anymore. In fact, we don't even really know where they're storing the FTS at this point. So, yeah. At some day, it'll just show up and we'll see the lifts go up to the boxes and start the install. So
I just got a ping on my phone, SpaceX tweet, and I was like, no way. It's not. It's the Falcon 9 Hera launch earlier, which we covered live. It was a great launch, because especially if you consider they had one shot at this instantaneous window, and if they hadn't launched today, they'd been rolled back because of the hurricane that's arriving. By the way, everyone keeps safe in Florida because that looks like a nasty one, to say the least. I mean, Jack, you've got... I feel like I'm making things worse by reminding you, but...
No,
it's Florida, so are they all
It's
safe?
been on my mind. So far, they're I mean, I grew up in Tampa Bay, and every year of my entire life living there, it was always, good thing Tampa almost never gets hit. And maybe not every year, but very frequently, there would be like a storm that seemed like it was going to hit Tampa and then like turn at the last minute. That happens so many times, over and over and over again. And it looks like this one might actually hit. And yeah, I'm keeping in touch with my family. They're being as safe as they reasonably can. My parents' house is like, I don't know, 200 yards from the water, tops. But they're also on a hill, so we'll see how it goes. Yay, hurricanes.
Yeah, American weather, it's nothing like in the Florida tourism brochures that I keep pointing out to Julia, Max, and Dee, which always shows people on the beach with blue sunny skies. And I'm like, well, hang on a minute. My experience of us watching Florida conditions for launches or what have you has been kind of like Yorkshire. Very grey skies, and we don't get the hurricanes either. So, I mean, it looks quite dynamic, to say the least, shall we say. I want to thank some more people. I honestly, I personally love just taking questions, but there's so much support, and I definitely do not want to make anyone feel left out. But I think the main thing is the store is going crazy with the Flight 5 merch, because it's great merch for a start. But also you can add a message when you purchase in the store. There's a wonderful thing that they've programmed into the store where you can actually put a message that will read out live as part of your purchasing process. I've butchered that slightly, but you know what I mean. So I'm going to say thank you to people. Spunky, because I became a pad member to start with. Telsa asks, are the new patches likely to start shipping? They are available to ship now. Literally will ship. I mean, that is not a pre-order on Flight 5. So if you went in and got a Flight 5 patch, it will be on its way very promptly. It was not a pre-order. It is now available for shipping. So that's a good question. Thank you very much for that, Telstar. William, with a rather aggressive store message, wear a kilt, you coward. That's a bit rough. I'm sure it was meant as a joke, but when I read it in black and white, it was like, hang on a minute.
I like how, like, initially I said I would wear it for if someone got me an Ember, which is like an $18,000 high-speed, like, slow-mo camera. And then it's just been a slippery slope since then. Now people are just like, wear it, coward! It's like, no, there was agreements in place, I thought.
My word. I'm going to do a few more, then we're going to get back to the... Oh, it's this impressive sight. Look at that. That is really impressive.
Yeah, the wind direction today is a little bit different than I think we've seen on previous wet dresses. Like, a lot of times the vapor cloud from the tower is more coming towards this camera. And in fact, a lot of time, this particular angle can get sort of fogged out or clouded out by the venting from the tower and OLM and tank farm and everything. So I'm liking this wind direction. It's a really nice day today, and it's actually not blindingly hot either. Like, we're finally starting to get into the not horrible weather of the year, although it does come with hurricanes and rain and whatnot. So, double-edged sword.
That'll bring up a question later that I have. I should actually put it in chat and do it on a spaceflight and ask you in chat the question. Because
I'm looking at the panel. Like, I have the panel open, and I've been adding questions to it as I see them come in. So I am watching chat and I am watching the panel. And I'll watch extra closely just for you, Chris.
I'm going to do that, right? What I'm going to do, I'm going to do more thanks, and I'm going to do a timeline thing, and then we'll do that. Anonymous got something from the store. Thanks for the coverage. Can't wait for this catch attempt. That is absolutely what everyone is really hyped about, because even with a Flight 4 profile, I'd have watched that again within a shot. It was like amazing watching re-entry, but with a catch, the booster potentially happening, that's going to be crazy. Richard, great addition to my collection. Thanks, NSF, for all the goodies and excellent coverage as ever. Thank you, Richard. Felix, here since the early SN days. Really enjoy your work since then. Another fine addition to my patch collection. All the best. Thank you very much, Felix. That's awesome. Let's first of all quickly catch up with where we stand as far as the timeline of where we think we're going to get into prop loading, and the entire timeline until, based on the last partial at least, that we'll get to with the heightened part of this test, Ryan.
Yeah, so if we're going based off all the older timelines and everything, we could be about 5-10 minutes away from start of prop load, and as I say that, the tower vent went back off again. So let's... If we are going, and the methane subcoolers are going, so there's a solid chance they are loading methane and possibly liquid oxygen into the ship right now. And if this were a launch, usually T0 is about 4 hours after the launch, the Pope vent starts, so it'd be like 4 p.m. But if they are loading right now, then let's see here, 50 minutes from now, you're probably talking a T0 of like 3:30, 3:40. Probably like 3:40. So we're gonna have to wait to see if we start seeing some frost lines on these vehicles here.
One thing I do want to mention is over the last, 2 or 3 days, maybe even longer, I've been seeing a whole bunch of the red and white MOVAC water trucks that they use to load up the deluge tank farm with water. Delivering water to the tank farm, essentially. So I am sort of wondering if we'll see a deluge test today, just based on the sheer number of water trucks that I've been seeing go to the deluge farm. Might be something to look out for when we get to that point in the flow.
Very good. Adrian, member for 2 years yesterday. NB, pound is Latin for Libra for pound, so they are curly L's, Crispy. Oh, yeah, because it's the curly L thing. When Daz started that off with, I think it was Daz who started it off by mentioning the curly L's in support. I was like, pound sterling, and it was back in the days of Queen was on the back of it, unfortunately. Yeah, it's very much appreciate your support either ways. You can say what you like as far as curly L's or pound sterling. The fact that he's supporting us is just awesome. Michael got something from the store. Would it be possible to test a booster to try and catch? Great job, team. Didn't I? Am I remembering correctly? But back in the early days of testing, there was an Elon reference to potentially hopping a booster. Not for a catch, just to literally test the booster engines. Ryan, can you remember that? Yeah.
They did talk about doing a hop with the booster. I think that was back in the Booster 3, Booster 4, Booster 3, Booster 4 days. So yeah, but they never ended up doing it. I think it's kind of best as for all why they didn't do it. They learned a lot by doing a full launch with Booster 7, and they nailed it after with 9 and 10. So I think the hops would have been really, really interesting to see them hop one of those. Because what kind of landing legs would they stick on that thing? But here we are. They've done full stack flights instead.
Really, too, with SN5 and SN6, obviously they were ship prototypes, but they didn't have flaps, they didn't have nose cones, they had that crazy top hat that was like the big chunk of metal on the top. And those, in a lot of ways, were booster-like, even though, again, they were ship prototypes. And I'm sure they learned a whole bunch of stuff and got a whole bunch of data from just being able to use their guidance, navigation, and control algorithms along with Raptor and a Starship-like vehicle. And I am not a rocket scientist, but I believe there's something where as the rocket gets bigger, it's actually easier. It's an easier control problem. So, SN5 and SN6 were kind of like booster hops. I mean, not really, but you see where I'm going with that. Also, the chimes are venting like crazy right now. Look at that.
Wow. It's an impressive sight. Again, a scale of context, because on the screen, you can tell it's a big rocket. But Jack, I mean, you're out there literally all the time. Can you give us some kind of like eyes-on experience of just how big this full stack vehicle is? I don't know how you could do it, but maybe you'll have a much better chance than someone like me trying to explain it.
I mean, it's hard to describe. It's just monolithic. I mean, it's like standing next to a skyscraper. It's an extremely large vehicle, and even when you're at the launch site and right up next to it, as close as the public can get, even then, it's hard to get a sense of scale. I've said this a lot. I think the best way to get a sense of scale for these things are when they do a rollout, because you can actually sort of be roadside a lot of the times, and it goes right past you. But yeah, when you're at the launch site and you see how massive this thing is, fully stacked, and then you see one of those tiny little people on the launch mount, and you start to think, oh my gosh, like they're big. I don't know. I'm rambling, Chris, but yeah, it's huge. There's really no good fancy word for it other than it's so big it's hard to sort of wrap your head around.
I for one always appreciate a ramble, because one, that's what I do, and two, it allowed me to get an X post out about the fact that we're testing, because I completely forgot at the start of the stream to put a tweet out. So there we go. That's multitasking, something I can't do. So thank you for taking that moment to give me the opportunity to put a post out on X, and more people in, and actually more people are arriving as I'm speaking. We are getting close to prop testing, but
yeah,
Ryan, are we getting a little past the timeline here?
That LR11K is in the worst possible spot for our trailer cam, like literally the worst.
Kind of looks like the ship has a sweet tattoo.
I'm trying to tell. I don't see any frost on the ship. The tower vent's off. The OLM vent has not done its waterfall mode yet, and the methane subcoolers are going, but they're not going at like a speed for prop load, so I don't really know where we're at the moment, to be honest with you. It's a little odd. So I don't think they're following a normal count. They may be doing some fun testing or something like that. So we're just gonna have to wait and see if we start seeing frost on something, or the OLM vent shuts off or goes into waterfall mode. So we're in a wait and see territory at the moment.
Hey, I like fun testing. Fun testing's great. So, you know what? If they're doing something different, that might be some nice little caveat to why they're doing it again. Maybe they're just trying something different on purpose. And that way they can explain away the two partial, not that they'll ever explain it away, but they could theoretically in our minds explain why they're doing a second partial wet dress rehearsal. So that might work. So we'll keep an eye on this because, Ryan, I'm sure you'll be very much taking notes on the changes between the two tests. And then maybe we'll get some clues. Right, more thanks, by the way. People have gone balmy in the store. I have got a list here that's as long as my arm, and my arm is not short. Right, better not. Thank you for the amazing coverage. You guys are the best. Again, people buying something from the store and saying thank you for it. Amazing.
Let's say that's booster engine chill vent I think I see on the ground.
Oh.
That's interesting. Sorry, Chris, but yeah, that's just
No. Yeah.
weird things going on here.
No, I give you permission to do an Alex.
Yep.
Yeah. You can absolutely, I can be in the middle of a sentence and you can go, oh, like Alex always does. And then I'll be stopping because I know you have something informative to tell us all. But yeah, I was going to quickly do a few more thanks while watching this strange goings on. That is quite a lot of venting, by the way.
That might be waterfall mode for the OLM now.
Oh, my word.
So, all right. That's a little later than usual, but let's see how this goes here.
Intriguing. Chat, by the way, chime in. no pun intended. Chime in with what you may think is going on as well, because I do like the community groupthink on things like this. Because I've always found one of the best things about Starbase coverage is I think if there was no chat, there was no community, actually be able to talk live while we're talking as well, I think that'd be so much more boring. We'd lose so much excitement. I love reading live chat as we're doing these live streams because that is like a group. It's like a room full of people, a big room as well, of people just discussing.
I'm doing an Alex again. We got Frost on 30. Chip 30.
Cool. You've got to do it like Alex.
Wait, Chris. There you go. That's how you do it. Okay. Yeah, we got Frost line on ship 30's methane. LOX tank. So, yep. There it is. It's hard to see with the crane in the way. Can we get like Jack or Dan to go out there and move it? I don't know if they're certified. Oh, and looks like Frost on the methane tank as well. So.
Hooray! So we're into loading.
Yep.
Good deal.
By the way, Jack, do you want to take over some of the thanks? Because my eyesight
I'll do that right
is
now.
not the best these days.
I will do that right now, and then we'll get into answering some viewer questions, because we have a whole bunch of really good viewer questions here coming through. But Victor getting the Flight 5 patch and giving us some nice words, some nice compliments there. And they're excited for Neutron. We're excited for Neutron. Definitely excited for Rocket Lab's next rocket. Joyce grabbing the Flight 5 patch as well. They're saying, wish we had patches like this when I watched Mercury and Apollo flights launch. That's awesome. Dylan also getting the patch. A lot of people getting the patch today. Good call, everybody. Because once they're gone, they are gone. They say, it sure is chilly for an early August test flight. Thanks for your coverage and entertainment. Ad Astra. Nice. Shane also getting the Flight 5 patch. So you guys are awesome. Keep up the great work. Shane from Melbourne, Australia. No, sorry, Melbourne. I'm pretty sure it's pronounced Melbourne, Australia. I don't want to get yelled at by our Aussie friends. Jacqueline, thank you for grabbing the Flight 5 patch. They say, loving being a red team and then upgrading to Capcom. Love streams and all your content. As a nurse, I worry about the team's sleep schedule. Be safe, guys. We are. We are very frequently sleep deprived, but we take our safety seriously out here. So thank you for the kind words. We are absolutely not going to put ourselves in danger, but we are going to frequently stay up all night and be very tired the next day. I have no idea how to say this person's name. Ashent Querido. I'm sorry. Thank you for becoming a Capcom member, though. You get Discord access at Capcom level and above. So pop into Discord and say, hey. Cameron grabbing the Flight 5 patch. They're thanking us for making the patches. Thank you for that. Ian getting a Raptor t-shirt with some kind words, and they love bacon. Looks like they also got a Tank Watchers mug. Nice. David getting the Flight 5 patch. They say, thanks for all your amazing coverage. Wow. So we weren't kidding, Chris. People are helping us out and saying things, which really means the world. Like, I've always wanted to have a job that I felt like was actually worthwhile. And this feels worthwhile because it brings people joy.
Oh.
And so the kind words are appreciated.
Hey, Jack.
What's
Hi.
up?
Methane, frost on the methane tank for the booster.
So we have methane and liquid oxygen loading on the ship, and we have methane loading on the booster. Now the question is, how much will they load today? Will it be the same amount that we saw with the previous mini wet dress? Will it be a different amount? It's not going to be the full amount because the village isn't evac'd, but that's the question I am wondering is how frosty is this going to get?
And OLM vent off, so LOX load.
Excellent. So we should see frost on that LOX tank any second now. Oh my gosh, Chris, you weren't kidding. This is like an insurmountable pile here, which is a good problem to have. Kevin, thanks for the store purchase. Jake, thank you for the store purchase. Store purchases. John as well loves the patches. Thank you, buddy. Gregory also loves the patches. Steven, bunch of store purchases from them. Thank you so much, Steven. Everyone just being so sweet today. I think everyone's feeling the Flight 5 hype, Chris.
I think so, yeah.
Campbell getting something from the store. Ingo getting something from the store. Someone just named me, also with a store purchase. They say, all this waiting for Flight 5 is testing my patience. I see what you did there. What is that, Sawyer? Justin, they're saying, let's send it with a store purchase. Thank you. Chris, loving the patches. Also a store purchase. Dennis, almost every day I turn into either a live stream or a video. You guys are doing such an outstanding work. Thank you, the whole NSF team. Thank you so much. Bideford gifting 5 red team memberships. Thank you so much, Bideford. Anonymous getting the RS-25 t-shirt from the store. Nice. They say the current Starship configuration produces approximately 83,500,000 pancakes of thrust. Oh, okay.
What?
I didn't know you could measure thrust in pancakes, but hey, today I learned. Oscar with a store purchase, thank you. Robert with a store purchase, thank you. Anonymous, they say, Jack, wear the darn kilt. Blake. Blake, I mean, it has to be I don't know. I'm not just going to wear it. I have to get something in return. That was the deal, right? Ninja Decimator gifting 5 red team memberships. Rushco becoming a red team member. Nick with a store purchase, keeping their collection going. Today in Space with a super chat. Thank you. Gary becoming a Padrat member. Chris W. gifting a red team membership. Brianna gifting 5 red team memberships. And with that, I think we are relatively caught up. And let's do some questions. How about?
That was great. I mean, I tend to labor on each individual one before you know it. Like
it's hard.
It's amazing.
It's hard to not do that because it really is, it means the world. And it's hard enough. I always use this example. It's hard enough to get your friends or family to pay 99 cents for extra cloud storage so that their phone photos can be backed up. And like, people really care about their photos. They're sentimental. They mean a lot to them. And yet a lot of times it's like, oh, your phone's full. You can't update. Yeah, just pay 99 cents a month. That'll solve the problem. You'll be able to, you can't get people to part with 99 cents just to back up things that are precious to them. And yet people come out with so much support for us. It really, it's mind-boggling. So it's hard to not give each and every one like its own 5-minute thing and thank you, because we really do recognize how special that is that you guys do that. But we're here to talk about rockets, and it's always a balance, right?
You don't want to keep doing the Alex thing. Frost appearing on the booster LOX tank.
There you go. I can see it. Nice. Look at that. Sweet. All right, Chris, we have a question here from someone named NASASpaceflight in chat. It says, "Hi, Jack. Long time watching, first time questioner." That's a lie. I know that's a lie right off the bat. This time of year, are launch conditions better for Mega Mock Diamond pictures? Yeah, I would think so. It's generally a lot less hazy this time of year, a lot less clear and crisp outside, and there's a lot less of that like morning fog that we've seen on a lot of the previous launches that happens in sort of the June gloom kind of months. So hopefully, if they do launch sometime in October, we get a nice, beautiful, pristine day, such as today, because it really would make for some amazing photography and video. So, well, hopefully. My answer, Chris, is hopefully, yeah, we will get another Flight 2 style day where the everything is beautiful. And if I may be so bold, I humbly request the rocket gods give us a launch that's not right after sunrise. Like if they launched right now, oh my god, the imagery would be insane. It would be so amazing. So hopefully, eventually, one of these days here, we get a launch that's not right at the crack of dawn, and then maybe a night launch, and then maybe a jellyfish launch. Like all that stuff's coming down the road at some point. It's just a matter of when.
They're loading real quick here.
Yeah, right. I was going to ask you, Ryan. Can you remember? You know what? I could go back if I was not being lazy and look at the previous test, but are we getting pretty close to where we were partial last time before they stopped flooding it?
Yeah, we're getting pretty close there. I would expect the tower event to come back on soon, and there's ship engine chill as well. They may load a little bit more. I don't know what their limit is to how much they can load before they would actually have to do an evac. So, I mean, we'll just have to wait and see how much they actually do load. So, yeah. But in reference to the lighting for the launch, Jack, I mean, you remember all the way mid-end November, we had Flight 2, and that went, I think that was right at 7:30 is when that went. It was kind of like the perfect lighting. I mean, even a little bit later, I would take that, like 7:30, 8 o'clock for that. If it really is going to be end of November, I think that'll be good. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, one of these days, we're going to start getting varied conditions for these launches, and the imagery will benefit from it.
A lot of people asking if they're going to be a deluge test. There wasn't last time. And obviously the deluge has been the subject of conjecture out there with the old authorities as such. I don't know why, if that was a case where they would have a problem doing it in this test, because during launch they're definitely going to use it. So at some point they're going to have to use it very soon, especially if there's going to be a launch date coming up pretty soon, which we don't yet know about. People joining right now probably still asking the question, are we going to get a launch in daytime? We don't know yet. We're not ruling it out, and we are preparing just in case. That's the way we're playing this. But until SpaceX or Elon says something official, then we can't really go out and say anything on their behalf, because we wouldn't know. We work on the official basis. But Ryan, do you think there's any real need to do a water deluge test on this kind of test?
Not really. I mean, they know it works. The other thing with that is I don't remember if they took, because usually they take like a ground cleaner, like a sweeper. They basically clean the ground around the deluge as well as the plate itself before they were to fire it. As a way to get as many contaminants off as possible, because they've had a lot of lifts and trucks and welding equipment all around there for a while. So you'd want to clean all that up before you fired that, because then all that stuff goes into the wetlands, and well, they don't want that. So I don't know if they've actually gone around and cleaned it. So they could fire it, but I don't think they will. I mean, they know it works. So.
Good answer. And on that note, I'm going to bid you adieu and move on to other things and let you all listen to the glorious tones of Mr. Adrian Bile. Adrian, are you with us?
If I would press the right button, I would be. Hello, everybody.
Yes, Adrian's going to take over from me and let you deal with the rest of this tracking test. But a quick personal note from me. Thanks for all your support. I really notice it all the time, but today's been bonkers and really is appreciated. And I'm glad a lot of you are buying stuff from the start, because I actually really like it where you get something in the post in return for your support. So thank you all for that, and I will be speaking to you soon. And then Ryan's got something to say, so bye-bye.
Yeah, you're leaving at the perfect time, Chris, because they just finished loading.
How can you tell that, Ryan? For our viewers, let them know how you know they've just finished loading.
So both the tower vent and the OLM vent are back. That means that they are now basically dumping overboard the locks that they have on the lines, and they are no longer loading it into the vehicles themselves. And the subcoolers have died down as well. So this is the load that SpaceX is going to have for today. We will see how long they hold it and when they start detanking. But yeah, this is the partial propellant loading test that SpaceX is doing. So
neat. Adrian, have you been able to keep up with everything so far, or have you been a busy beaver in the background?
So usually we do this thing where we use this opportunity to make a quick summary, right? I really think we should. Of course, I'm totally out of the loop actually with what has been happening since the start of the test. So if Ryan or you could give me like a quick, I don't know, like a quick rundown of where we are, what's to be expected. I see tanks, of course. I see tanks being filled, which is I guess good. And I also heard stop of propellant loading. So what's the expectation here? Partially wet dress rehearsal, something like that?
Yeah, I mean, it seems like if this is the fuel load, if they've turned on the tower and pad vents again, this is the extent of the load. But the question will be now, how long do they hold it in the tanks before they drain it back? Will they do any other additional testing, like fire up the deluge, fire up the Fire-X? But just seems like a pretty smooth test. Nothing really. I don't think you really missed much other than the frost lines rising. So yeah, here we are. You want to do some questions?
Yeah.
Right off the bat, I do want to answer this one from Espen, asking if Rocket Ranch's road will be cleared for the launch. So we talked at the start of the stream, Rocket Ranch is doing a GoFundMe because their road into the ranch got flooded. But yes, the road to the ranch will be cleared for launch because of all the support from everybody. They were able to call in the big guns, get some equipment out there, and get a whole bunch of dump trucks full of asphalt in order to get that fixed up. But even if the ranch itself wasn't going to be open for launch, which it is, the outpost, which is their viewing location, is a completely separate spot that is perfectly fine, thank goodness. So that's where I am right now. I'm sitting at the outpost. This is my view. I'm basically like, I don't know, 20, 30 feet away from this camera because it's on a tower above me right now. But yeah. So yep, it'll be sorted out in no small part thanks to everybody's coming out and the community helping a friend out in need. So that was really special. Thank you everybody for doing that. Skeletoon is asking, will we call Pad B Pad West now? Adrian, do you know what that's in reference to? It's not a movie.
No.
It's because Mary caught a image of what we think is the launch mount deck for the mount for Pad B, and the label on it, which is like the clearest picture of a label I think I've ever seen. So props to Mary for that. The label on it referred to Pad B West. Or no, Pad West. It didn't even say B. It just said Pad West.
Just, I mean, I don't like it that particularly, I have to say. Like, I would prefer Pad B, or actually, I would even, like, if you had to rank Pad West, Pad B, and Pad 2, what's your...
B wins.
Yeah,
like, B wins, but what's second? Two or West?
2.
Two.
So, because we don't even know, like, if this has a launch site number designation. All we know it as the orbital launch site. At least I have not seen any designation for it, so... Is SpaceX calling this Pad East and Pad West? Because if it is, I don't
think so. I think they have a variety of names for things internally. I mean, I am going to personally stick with Pad A and Pad B until I am told to do otherwise. But it is sort of silly that they did have that called Pad West on the label.
I think we heard them refer to this pad with 3 different names. Because I'm fairly sure they have said potentially like Pad 2B, or like Elon has said Pad B or Pad 2. Like, I think at this point we are at the point where this is turning into the next high bay / mega bay, where it just gets all the names, and at some point you can just pick and choose.
Yeah, fair. Let's see. More questions. Cohen Struther is asking, is it possible for SpaceX to work through NASA or the military to override the FAA? I don't know if override is the word I would use, but both NASA and the DoD are able to handle licensing of a Starship launch. And that, honestly, that is one of the things in play here with, would they actually attempt a launch in October? You know, maybe there's some infighting going on in the background, and the DoD is putting pressure on the FAA. NASA is putting pressure on the FAA because both of them are invested in this program. They could. It's possible. Would you agree or disagree, Adrian? And I ask this knowing that you wrote Starbase Update this week, in which we talk about this very matter.
Yeah, it's absolutely. So in theory, SpaceX basically needs like a steward to license their launch, right? They need a regulatory body that has the authority to perform such a licensing event. So that's the FAA in most cases, but we have also seen the NASA or the DoD perform this act. The problem is, I think, the implication of some people here, or like the implication of what people like assume, that the FAA is the hard path. Because from what we can tell, the FAA is the one that most of the people use, and like there's even a lot of NASA missions that are licensed through the FAA. So I think the assumption that the FAA is the hard way and NASA can just snap their fingers and license the biggest rocket of all time, I don't share that sentiment, and I think overall we are probably. I would be very surprised if that would suddenly turn into a huge speed up of the schedule. Maybe we are talking about a future plan. Like, I think a lot of the arguments and disagreements that are happening right now might be potentially to speed up future launches. Like, maybe you kind of have the problem still with this here, but you're trying to find a path going forward that works better for all parties involved. So there could be NASA licensing in the future of Starship. There will be probably at some point of one NASA mission, but we'll see.
Ryan, what do you think?
Well, I think they can put pressure on the FAA, but the FAA usually isn't one to budge. I know that. They don't usually budge on their procedure or their regulations. At least not that I know of. They haven't been one to do that in the past. Maybe down the line, NASA and the DoD have more of a hand in it to push the program along a little bit faster. But overall, I'm more curious as to what exactly it was that made the larger environmental area that really is truly causing this delay, or whatever actually is causing this delay. Because whenever they release this next license, we'll get like an environmental addendum basically to the PEA, or to add it to the license area. And I'm kind of curious to read what exactly went through. One of two ways that can happen. One, it'll be like, oh, so it actually was that really big of an area, and they were right to take the amount of time that they did to do it. Then there's the thing of, oh, that's all it was? Really? Which, I mean, we'll just have to wait and see when it actually happens. I just don't know. I don't know if they'll get pushed earlier or not. It's just kind of one of those things you have to wait.
We will have to wait and see what happens. Let's see. Mr. Goose is asking, why do another partial wet dress rehearsal and not a full one? Was there something wrong with the previous one? No official word from SpaceX one way or the other how the previous partial tanking test went. So no, we don't really have an idea why they would do another partial. Maybe they're just trying to save propellant. I'm sort of at a loss there. Adrian, any ideas why they might have? Go ahead.
Yeah, there's certainly a lot of theories what could be happening. There's of course the obvious one here, something went wrong on the last one and they want to check again, right? Because they also destacked the vehicles, and they did they had probably a good reason why they wanted to destack the vehicles, and now they're restack them. So there seems to be something. They worked on the pushers, for example, on the hot staging ring, but they also worked on like other parts of the vehicle. So something seems to be of interest for them. And yeah, then just move ahead again and verify that whatever you want to verify is working now. I know that's sometimes a bit of an unsatisfying answer, but I think that's the actual accurate answer here to give, that there's probably something they are interested in verifying before going for a full wet dress, or they might just not go for a full wet dress at all.
I mean, in theory, like if you look at this test as a whole, they went through their normal chill down. They went through the normal booster and the ship engine chill down. They used their valve. They used the pumps and the subcoolers at full capacity to load it to this point. It wasn't a slow load. It was the quick load as normal and everything like that. That's technically tests everything. The only thing a wet dress truly tests is your full countdown and then fully loading the vehicles. And that's about it. That's kind of all it does. That's the only extra thing. So in reality, this is in theory enough for them to understand that the vehicles are good to go, the tank farm is good to go, and they're ready for a launch. Which, I mean, they said it the last time, and then they did another tanking test. So, you know, I really don't. It's like a euphemism at this point, pending regulatory approval kind of thing. Because, I mean, they talked. It's always funny how they talked about, oh, our vehicles are ready for flight at the beginning of August. It was like, but are they? Because you haven't done full stack testing.
Yeah, that's a fair question. Really quickly, Brianna Matthews gifted 5 Red Team memberships. Thank you, Brianna. Scott with a store purchase. Thanks for the kind words there, buddy. We hope you enjoy your merch. Looks like you got a Sean print and 2 Flight 5, or no, a Sean print and a Flight 5 patch. I can talk, I swear. Daniel, thank you for the store purchase. Cody, thank you so much for the hello from Australia. Noah, thank you for the store purchase. They say, thrust hoodie for my daughter, patch for me. When hop? I mean, I guess we should probably at least put some chips on the table. Given the insanely chaotic nature of the situation right now, when do we guess Flight 5 will happen? Ryan, I'm going to put you in the hot seat. You have to go first.
When Flight 5? Will it happen this weekend? This upcoming weekend? No. I don't think it will. I think SpaceX is trying to pressure the FAA. I say trying because they have done this in the past, specifically Flight 2, where they rolled Booster 9 out. They rolled Ship 25 out. You know, they put Booster 9 on the pad. What was it? Oh man, I gotta remember the date now. They rolled it out, put it on the OLM on August 22nd. For those of you who don't remember, it didn't launch till November 18th. And I think this is a case of that, to be honest. Like Ship 25 then also got rolled out, and it sat at the and they stacked and destacked it for 2.5 months.
Don't remind me.
And yeah, the one where Alex goes, oh, it destacked for an 8th time during flight.
Right.
That was a good one. But if you remember in that, they posted note Mars and other notices for a couple weeks, and then I think they gave up at one point, and then they started to do it again. But this isn't new. Them stacking, doing tests long before launch. I mean, heck, Flight 1's wet dress was January, and it'd fly till April. So, I until we hear from the FAA, I am assuming it's not flying. That's me, or SpaceX themselves, because they haven't even said anything. So,
yeah, that's true. I'm sort of thinking, like, what if on the 13th they posture and essentially do a wet dress rehearsal, and at the point where, you know, they get to a full load, there's some sort of messaging along the lines of like, look, we're ready to go, but we can't go, but we're ready. That could happen, or who knows? I mean, again, I do think it bears repeating that, you know, there is kind of a precedent. SN8 did launch without FAA approval, and there was the whole fun time associated with that. So, you know, it's nothing's impossible, crazily enough. That's where I'm at right now. I'm going to say chances of a launch in October are, in my opinion, this is a total guess, probably greater than 70%. I mean, again, I didn't cancel my gear rental. Adrian, what do you think?
So first off, I think the magnitudes of SN8 versus launching Starship with a license are bigger, because if you remember back in the SN8 situation, the situation was that SN8 had a license, it just didn't have like specific approval on that single day. Like there was still like the FAA didn't agree with them on a like I don't know, weeks timeline. They just didn't agree on that single day. And I really, really think that could be a bit of a difference here, because this would be basically, so if they fly the same profile as last time, that would be pointless, right? Because they could have probably made this easier. If they fly it with the catch, we are talking about a catch attempt without the proper without the proper regulatory body to enforce it. And I don't think they risk it. But pushing all of the regulatories aside, if you have been watching Starship for now, I don't know, 3-4 years, and somebody would tell you, oh yeah, we are on Monday, they're just gonna do one more red dress rehearsal on Thursday, and on Sunday it's launch. Would you believe them? Historically? Like,
No.
even if all the regulatory line wouldn't exist, I would still predict, like, I don't know, somewhere around the 21st.
Like at the earliest.
Yeah, like I'm pushing all of the regulatories aside. This is still a vehicle that has. They have to do, if they want to launch this weekend, until then, they have to perform a successful wet dress rehearsal, perform their reviews of that, then destack the vehicle, install the flight termination system, restack the vehicle, and then schedule everything in time to perform like a full-blown launch.
Do they need a wet dress? Is it required?
That's the one single iffiness in here. Yeah.
Because, I mean, they've done it. Okay, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
As let's say they've done it for the last 4 flights, and there's a lot of reasons to why, because there's been a lot of changes in the tank farm. I mean, for the uninitiated and those who don't remember, I mean, well, there are no more vertical tanks. Flight 4 didn't use them, but still, the tank farm has been changed and whatnot for multiple times. However, since 4 and 5, there haven't really been a lot of changes to that tank farm, and these tests may have been enough to test those changes. So that begs the question, do they actually need a wet dress? Even if they don't need a wet dress, I mean, yeah, they could destack, put FTS in, and they could be ready to go by this weekend, in theory. But again, I personally don't think. I think there's maybe a 20% chance they fly in October. Not even. I don't think they're going to get ready quick enough. I don't think the FAA will be ready for them.
And the FAA has pretty significant penalties and like leverages available to them if they want to. Like,
it's true. At the same time, though, and we've talked about this, I feel like several times on recent streams, not singling out any particular company or any particular industry, but I do feel like a lot of the time, corporations will sort of take a stance where, it's like, let's move fast, let's break things. Yeah, we'll probably end up having to pay a fine or jump through some hoops, but that's just the cost of doing business. We might be in a situation like that here.
The problem is launching this rocket without the proper licensing and doing a catch without that. You're not talking about a fine. You're talking about the FAA going, nope, you're not launching Falcon 9 anymore. Not until you do a review of your safety procedures and you pay a fine, you do all this stuff. You're not launching Starship for a while and you're not launching Falcon 9 anymore. The FAA could just do that. And, I mean, they might be able to launch NASA or DoD missions, but if they want to launch Starlinks, no. They could do that.
They need the FAA for their Starlinks. They need the FAA for the non-governmental, non-NASA missions. I really think, like, violating the launch license and such a significant, like, this is not sorry, we launched a bit early, we are so sorry. No, this is like a straight-on violation. I think it would be a very bad idea. But yeah, let's move on.
Yeah, all right. really quick, let's take a look at a comparison from LSR, one of our very own, who did a comparison between the fuel load today and on the previous partial tanking test, mini wet dress rehearsal, whatever you want to call it. So we can sort of take a look and see how do the levels compare. Jay, can we get that on the old screen-a-rooney? All right, so I think the previous one is on the left, and today's is on the right. So looks like a very similar load. Maybe same methane on the booster, maybe a little bit more LOX on the booster, and ship looks basically the exact same to my eye. Neat.
I would say it's a pretty significant increase on the LOX tank on the booster. Like,
yeah, it looks like maybe an additional ring of LOX. Hard to tell.
It's like it for sure confirms it's not the same test profile. Like, it's not a repeat of the test, because that's a different amount of logs. Like, either the last test didn't go all the way, that's one possibility, or this is a different test. That's the two options here, but they are not the same load.
Right. Yeah, that's worth pointing out. Thank you, Adrian. More questions. I demand more questions. Chat. If you have any questions, throw them in chat with @NASASpaceflight. And we'll see them pop up.
Searching for questions, there was one that I kind of wanted to cover, because I don't know if those of you have ever watched Philip Sloss's videos, but he does a really, really good job of covering Artemis stuff. And he had mentioned in his latest one, talking about the propellant transfer load test that SpaceX has to do with Starship, and how they themselves stated they want to do it next year. And that got me thinking, like, based off of pad timelines, vehicle timelines, and license timelines, like, even if they don't run into issues catching and destroy their chopstick arms, like, there's maybe a 5-10% chance they're able to do that next year. Like, SpaceX is starting to, like, fall behind. It feels like they're getting a little slow.
Ryan, did you wake up on the grouchy side of the bed today?
I'm just being realistic.
I mean, that's fair. I also feel like you're being especially pessimistic today, and you're already a rather pessimistic party. I'm like, what? Oh man, is everything all right? Like, is everything going good? Let's see here. James Haig asking, is there a way to pay literally just for Discord, or is it only linked to higher memberships? I do believe if you get L2 lifetime, you get into the Discord as well. So that's sort of like it's expensive, but it's like a one-time payment. I do think that is a way to do it. I'm not Chris B, but L2 lifetime does exist, and I do know you get into the Discord with L2 lifetime, even if you're not a YouTube member. So there is that. Ronnie Spell's asking, do we think they'll rebuild Tower 1's orbital launch mount to add a flame trench after Tower 2 is functional? Adrian, I'll go with you first.
Yes. I think Elon already said that on like the employee presentation, that once Tower 2 is done, they will do major refurbishment to Tower 1. And I think part of that is aligning the designs.
Yeah, that would make sense to me too. Ryan, any thoughts? I mean, would it even be possible? Because they're going to have to to put in a flame trench, they have to demolish the frickin' orbital launch mount.
Yeah, they'll come in and just get some plasma cutters and go to town. They'll start slicing and dicing this thing up. They'll use cranes, pick out the pieces away. They'll knock down the legs. Then they'll dig up that the plate. And they'll then dig down and make a trench. I mean, that's what they're going to do, because they'll go with a design that's going to work a little bit better, which, for those, you saw Mary's pictures, we're going to have a pancake sandwich water-cooled OLM deck now. So this ablative and burn plates on the top, that's going to go away. And then my guess is they'll have a water-cooled flame diverter as well. So everything's going to be water-cooled. So, it kind of stinks for Elon because Elon didn't want to use any water to begin with, and well, now everything's water cooled. So, but I cannot wait to see them build this pad. It's gonna look so cool.
More water, more better? Question
Yeah.
mark.
Yeah.
Let's see. James Cruz is asking, is the roadblock at the partial wet dress rehearsal location today or further back at the full load location? Do we have an overpressure notice for today? No overpressure notice, no village evac, and as far as I know, the roadblock is at the normal partial location, not at the fallback location when there is a full load. Good question, though, from James there. Let's see. Dylan is asking, when do we think a Starship will first reach orbit? I'm going to say 2025.
No. Yeah.
I'm not joining this discussion because there's so many different. We are back to defining orbit. No, I
Flight
will
7.
not.
Well, I mean,
Ship
we
33.
can basically, I mean, we can, yeah. I don't know. What is your consternation, Adrian, about defining orbit? I mean, I think
it's like 2 seconds of like I just don't like the fact that it's such an arbitrary line because it feels like, yeah, if you just put up your Raptor vacuum engines for like 2 more seconds, that would be qualifying. I don't know. It's such a weird line for me, but maybe that's just me.
No, that's fair. Chat, keep your questions coming. We're getting some good ones. MacGyver's asking, what's the status of propellant load? Stable, hold, question mark? This is, we believe, probably all that they're going to end up loading for today. They could load more in theory, but, you know.
Detanking, so.
They're detanking.
They're detanking.
So not even stable.
No, it's not stable. They are definitely detanking.
Sweet. Well,
This is favorite part of Chris Bergen of any launch. It's detanking because after that the vehicle turns to stable. Because he likes horses.
Yeah, no, wow.
Yep, thank you.
Altair Studios is asking, will Starship HLS be used for Artemis 3 at this rate? Ooh. I mean, yeah. I don't think this is tough. I don't think the HLS ship is going to end up being the long pole here. It's certainly one of the long poles, but I don't think it'll be like the ultimate thing that's delaying things. I'm more worried about SLS and the mobile launcher too, and all that good stuff. So, assuming they want to use Artemis 3 to actually still do a test landing, right? I don't know.
I'm in spicy mood today.
Spice it up.
I'm worried about every single part of the Artemis structure.
Yeah, same.
Here comes the rant. Right now, this program, Artemis itself, doesn't feel suited or gearing up what it needs to do to land on the moon on 2028 or like 2027, whatever, like in this decade. Because if we had one single long pole item, you could focus more resources on it. You could probably solve that. You could really work on that. But right now it feels every single department is a long pole. You could argue the suits are a long pole. You can argue Starship is the long pole. You can argue SLS is the long pole. You can argue Orion is the long pole. Like, what's like at this point? I would love to ask the question: what's not a long pole item on Artemis? And I really have a troubling time to answer this because the whole thing feels so not ready to land on the moon. Maybe it's me, but it doesn't feel anywhere close to ready.
Like, where are the SRBs at? Like, I mean, the bowl boosters is the kind of thing there too. It's like that's That's also a log pull, at least for Block 2. I think maybe the only thing that isn't is maybe the regular SRBs. That's probably the only thing that will be ready, or is guaranteed to be ready on time, that I can think of. Because EUS definitely won't be. Like,
I think Northrop is still planning on testing the Boley booster next year. I think it's early 2025, if memory serves. I could be wrong, but that is coming up. Testing of that is coming up. But to your point, yeah, it's like where is that? That is definitely something that's important.
I wanna raise the European flag here because apparently we are the one not long pole item.
That is true.
Because
the ESM is good.
If nobody stops Airbus, they will probably have like 6 ESMs ready by the time that Artemis free flies and have them all stacked at the Cape. Like, the ESM is just there.
It's like, hey NASA, what's taking so long?
Yeah,
we have the ESM ready. Where are you guys?
Imagine like a very snarky Airbus person just speaking to NASA like, yeah, hey guys, our production facility for the next moon landing are so full. Can we just load off like another ESM at your facilities? Would that be fine? They're so empty. Like being like super cocky.
That would be hilarious. That would be pretty funny.
Yeah. That's not happening, by the way, Chad. I'm just joking. I'm having fun.
We're having fun here. We're tank watching. Let me thank some more people. Anonymous grabbing the Flight 5 patch. Thank you so much. They're saying, here's hoping the full stack performs a ship static fire. That would be bad.
No.
No. Please no.
James with a store purchase, getting the Flight 5 patch. They say you guys are awesome. Been watching since the beginning. Thanks for everything you do. Thank you. Sean Hansard becoming a Padrat member. Steven grabbing something from the store. What did they grab? The Merlin t-shirt from the Thrust collection. Nice. They say, I felt the need for bacon. Fun fact, Dan and Caesar and I all ate a bunch of bacon last night because I went to the store and bought a bunch of bacon. So nice. There you go. So that's your bacon update. Sven, getting the patch, says, love my wife, Sabine. Or Sabine? Adrian, how do I say that name?
Sabine.
Ooh, you make it sound nice.
You're welcome.
Daniel with a store purchase. They say, let's go. Ken with a store purchase, sending us some love. Thank you so much. Hayden, thank you for grabbing the... What did they grab? Is it going to tell me? It's not going to tell me. Either way, thanks for grabbing something from the store. They say, thanks for all your hard work. Providing us live footage. Go NSF, go SpaceX, go Starship. Matthew grabbing the Flight 5 patch. They say, when launch in Texas and catch in Florida? I know, overland stuff, but what if? You know, I don't think the answer is never. It's also not next year, right? So sometime between next year and forever.
Well, they can only do that with the ship. So
yeah, they cannot do that with the booster. So the first they have to answer the question, when ship catch?
Yeah.
Yeah, fair. I think ship catch... I think ship catch latter part of next year. What do you guys think?
I mean, it's definitely not Ship 34. I can tell you that much. Still has the same setup in terms of chopstick hardware. They absolutely, utterly, totally cannot catch with the current ship stacking hardware. Period. For anyone who says they can, no, it's physically not possible for them to do that, so they have to change it. 33 and 34 cannot. We have not seen if 35 or 36 have updated ones. 34 at this rate, if they ever decide to roll the nose cone and payload bay into Mega Bay 2 and put the Pez dispenser inside of it, at this rate it won't be ready to fly till summer of next year or later. So, yeah. I think 2026 for a ship catch would be my guess.
Yeah, that's probably reasonable. Today in space, thanks for the super chat. They say, can you share more on what's being caught on booster?
Oh, what? The landing pins. So, if you look at a booster, so that's actually one big misconception that sometimes happens because people are assuming that the grid fence will be used to catch it, but it's not the grid fence. It's like the small little landing pins that we are zooming up right now. I think. Well, I'm not. I was not live. That are be right below. Oh, there they are. You can actually see them on the left side, below the grid fence. That's what actually carries the load during a catch attempt. And what they are catching, well, they are catching the majority of the booster, with the hot staging ring, if you want to count that as part of the booster, being the only part that is not caught. And that, of course, helps you to recycle most of the cost. There you go.
Yeah, that's fair. You can see the pins. They're real tiny, but you can see them.
What?
And it's funny because probably yeah. I was gonna say, if you actually like stood next to one of them, it would probably be bigger than you, or like human sized, which is hilarious. Ray, grabbing the Flight 5 patch from the store. Thank you. They say 2 questions. Do you think we'll see Flight 6 this year? And are there plans to have stickers back at all? Do I think we'll see Flight 6 this year? Oh, man.
No.
Potentially. Yeah, I could see a Flight 6 this year. It really depends, though. That would be, to me, dependent on SpaceX launching like on the 13th and not getting into super duper deep trouble for it. Adrian, what do you think? Yes, no? Flight 6 this year? Maybe?
Yes to that question. Yes, most likely to the second question at some point.
Nice. You read my mind. I was going to follow up because you're Mr. Store.
Yes. We are closing in on it. Yes.
Excellent. Sticker's good. Steven, getting the IFT2 patch. Thank you for that. And they got the Flight 5 patch. Nice. Yeah, I think there's a couple. We still have some left for Flight 1 and Flight 2. Is that right, Adrian?
So we still have a couple Flight 2. Actually, very, very little Flight 1s. So if you want them, they might sell out this stream. They are very close to selling out. So Flight 1 almost gone. Flight 2 still a bit more, and we have a still good chunk of Flight 5, because if we run out of Flight 5 at this point, we would have a problem.
Well, I mean, a good problem, but a problem.
Yeah, but still a problem.
Yeah. Adam, thank you for gifting 5 Red Team memberships. Pete, thank you for grabbing a Flight 5 patch. They say, I've been following since SN4. Love the content. Keep up the great work, team. That's awesome. Good old SN4. It's just a little explodey. It's still good.
Usually after explodey, vehicles are no longer good. Disclaimer.
Yeah, it's not. Yeah, fair. I was doing a Simpsons reference, but you are right. James, thank you for grabbing the Flight 5 patch. They say, can't wait for Flight 5. Thanks for your coverage. You're so welcome. I'd rather be flying an X-Wing with a $5 super chat. They say, another wild idea for you. They need an FTS arm, sort of like the QD arm, that lets the explosive team access the rocket without destacking. That is a pretty wild idea, and it sort of flies in the face of the best part is no part, but I like it. I actually really like this idea. An FTS arm would be sweet. They're not going to do it, but that would be cool. Did you have thoughts, Ryan?
I was going to say, just remember that you're going to have to change it up between Block 2 and 3. So you'll have to do that wonky QD extension and
kind
it's
of thing.
Going to be
yeah.
even worse than that, because the amount of rings you're going to be adding to each tank. So, yeah, it's just like SpaceX can destack a ship, put the FTS on, and restack it within a day. It's not really that. And like later down the line, they'll roll the ship to the launch site. They'll install the FTS and then go. And actually, I think later down the line, it'll already have the explosives installed in it. It's just going to have a little bit of a better way to arm and disarm it so that it's safe, I think, down the line. So, because I'm trying to remember how they do it. I don't know how they do it for Falcon 9. Like if they take it out, like when they're getting ready to transport it or not. That is an Alex question.
And unfortunately, we do not have Alex here right now. He abandoned us.
You got some
Everybody,
really cool stuff.
I want you to find Alex on Twitter, and I want you to just DM him one word only: abandoner. Just DM Alex the word abandoner on Twitter.
Are you now bringing people confusion if they're not even watching?
I'm mad with power, Adrian. What are you going to do to stop me?
With power.
I know you're mad with power. My DMs are still unusable on Twitter.
I'm so sorry. I'm sorry.
There's probably very valid requests in these DMs that I cannot read because there's too many spider pictures, or people tricking me with spider pictures because they're like, "Hey, Adrian, I have an important question," and I click on DM and it's a spider picture. So yeah,
That's. I don't know that I've ever been happier in my entire life than this moment right now.
Oh my god!
glad you peaked just there.
Yeah, right there.
You peaked. The booster catch? Nah. Making Adrian afraid to open his Twitter DMs? Yeah, that's Jack's peak in life. Okay.
Not Tom B is calling it a casual harassment campaign.
Taking a look at the roadblock there on the right view, it looks like, what is that, a tanker of some sort waiting at the roadblock?
Looks like.
I mean, since they're detanking, it won't take much longer for them to open the road, presumably. I mean, a lot of that frost, too, could be residual, just cold tank walls. Who's to say most of the propellant might already even be out of the vehicle at this point. But we'll keep our eyes on the roadblock and wait to see what happens next. I always feel bad for the truck drivers, because you can tell they've been driving a long time, especially the ones that are like hauling in gear from McGregor or from wherever else in the country it was manufactured, and then they get all the way here. It's like they're 5 minutes from done, and then they have to wait in a roadblock for 2 hours. Poor guys. Admiral Mraith is saying we want Starhopper patch. Adrian, has there ever been any discussions with the store team about doing other patches, perhaps, at some point?
I mean, so will there be other patches than Starship? Yeah, probably. I can already tell you, like, there's other big missions in the future of humanity that we kind of want to have a patch for. You can all guess yourself what that might be. But besides that, that's actually an interesting idea, like doing like a run of, like, I don't know, retro patches. Here's a rendition of the NSF patches on Starhopper or stuff like that. Yeah. If we ever are in a situation where we have just too much design time, then we will do that. But Pauline is very much always
busy.
Always busy with cool other stuff. And there's more other cool stuff coming.
I will say, Supercluster, another space news media organization, has a really cool Starhopper patch. I don't know if it's limited edition or if they're even still selling it, but my Starhopper patch that I put on my patch wall was one of theirs. So, friendly friend plug. Check that out if that's something you really want right now. Kenneth, thank you for grabbing the Flight 5 patch. They say, hi, I love your stream. So keep it up. Thank you for all the updates and more to come. Cool.
We might be very close here to fully detanked. Like, there's a bit more on the ship, but overall they are closing in here on a stable vehicle configuration.
Good deal.
Jay in the background, Starlink Group 6-61 patch.
Yeah, we are not doing individual patches for every single Starlink.
Oh, man.
Can promise.
It's just the same patch every time, but it has like little it comes like stickers in the it comes with stickers in the packaging, so that you just take the patch and then you put the appropriate numbers on like the place in the patch where the numbers go. And it's like, hey, you can make it whatever mission you want. That's ridiculous.
Also, Das suggesting, just suggesting, just do a Starlink patch with white blanks to fill the mission with a Sharpie. Hi, my name is 6-16.
That's perfect. I love that. Junder Gaming is asking, when do we think they'll do a ship-to-ship propellant transfer demonstration? That is something that I am super eager to see, because I feel like the answer to this question, when will this happen, will be sometime around when they have 2 operational pads. And I think it's a safe bet that the first 2 operational pads are going to both be here in Starbase. And so I think that means the first ship-to-ship propellant transfer demo would feature, as part of that launch campaign, 2 full stacks on 2 pads at the same time. But maybe that's just wishful thinking on my part. Adrian, when do you think they'll do a ship-to-ship propellant transfer demo?
The original timeline that the last time we got an Artemis update had it for next year, because it's part of the requirement for Artemis. So that's kind of what they need to demonstrate there. I think at this point it's likely to slip maybe to 2026-ish, but we'll see. Yeah, hopefully very soon in the next, 16 months or so.
Maybe.
If it's not in the next 16 months or so, Artemis has a problem. Let's word it like that.
Yeah,
I
that's
mean,
fair.
Let's see here. I would say mid 2026. I'd give it a solid 18 to 20 months. And there's a lot of reasons behind that. Unless you want me to go through them all, but there's a ton of reasons why I don't think they're anywhere close to a ship-to-ship demo. So, yeah. I know I'm being super negative, but it's kind of the reality of where the program's at right now.
You negative? No. Nah, I'm joking.
No.
Next, you're going to tell me Alex has long answers. I don't believe it.
No.
Let's see. Walter, thanks for the store purchase. They got the patch. They say, can't wait for number 5. Thanks for the way you guys cover launches. Hey, that means a lot, Walter. Thank you. It's, we try to keep things fun and interesting and not just be like boring newscasters. We're all just as excited about this stuff as you are. Yeah, I mean, thanks for getting the patch. It's a really sweet patch. I mean, look at the design. Just look at it. Would you just look at it?
It's beautiful.
By the way, I updated. I'm not sure. Like, I didn't watch the first part of the stream, but we updated now so you can actually see because we now have it in our hands as well. You can see the full patch now in the store. Look at that.
Yeah, we previously had like a placeholder image. Now we have a real image of the real patch. And boy, does it look sweet. So yeah, pick one up if you so please. Once they're gone, they're gone. And we've got plenty right now. But once they're gone, they are gone. So I can't stress enough. It's a beautiful design. Has the Moon and Mars Easter egg on there. The chopsticks open wide kind of looks like a V for 5. It's just, what's not to love?
Yep.
Daniel also getting the patch. They say, I can see needing more wall space when these really get rolling. It's true. My patch wall is already full, and I'm like, I need another one.
It's a sign of Starship cadence when NSF is no longer able to keep up with a single patch for every single mission.
Yeah, honestly, it's one of those things, right? Where it's like, it's kind of bittersweet, because if the world we all want to exist, where spaceflight is routine and there are quote unquote airliner-like operations of these things, or do we still have a level of interest that allows us to do what we do? I don't know. I mean, I think so. There's people that train spot or plane spot and do streams of that, but it's yeah. I think that would be a good sign, Adrian. Although perhaps a slightly bittersweet one.
I always hope that the like, if we are talking about NSF in 15 years, which is a crazy thing to say, we have moved our attention to covering more like in space station assembly, and we have, I don't know, a way to track that or stuff like that. Like maybe we have moved from just launches to looking at all the fruits of that launch capabilities or stuff like that. That would be amazing.
Yeah.
I think. Yeah,
I would agree. You know what also is amazing? Cool Tech, who just upgraded to launch director. That's outstanding. Thank you so much. Disabled Park Hopper, thank you for the support. They say, what is the airspeed velocity of an unladen swallow? Reference acknowledged. Conch, thank you for the support. Let's see, they got something from the store. The unisex hoodie, they got the Raptor sweatshirt, ooh, and the Flight 5 patch. Really hoping for a launch next week. Any chance that can happen? Yeah, we talked about it a little bit. Maybe. Never say never. Seems highly unlikely, but never say never. Thomas, thank you for grabbing the patch as well. They say best spaceflight coverage on the planet. Juan, thank you for the 50
planet?
euros. I mean, wow. Whole planet?
Yeah, but just on the planet we lost to Mars, or like?
So you're saying we're aiming for best coverage in the solar system?
Yeah, like solar system. Like, what if there's a better coverage on Mars
or universe? Hey, the old tower. Did the tower vent just start back up, or has it been doing that?
It sometimes starts and stops again because that's what it happens during detanking.
My guess is they're in final detank purge of the system. You'll probably see the OLM vent either go back on, or I think it already did at one point. But we are very, very close to full and final depress of the vehicle. So
good deal. Juan with a 50 euro super chat. Thank you. That's insane. As you can see, the venting from the tower there. Sorry, I was about to read this super chat, and then I got mesmerized by the venting coming off the engine chill pipes on the ship and the venting coming off the tower. It's just gorgeous.
That's a lot of euros.
They really did put that crane in the worst spot. Oh, right. This super chat. Thank you, Adrian. Juan says, what kind of updates would Tower 1 need to fully support Starship version 2 launches? Also, keep up the amazing streams. Longtime supporter. Thank you so much. What sort of upgrades? I mean, V2 ship is taller, right? So the QD would have to be moved up even more. Beyond that,
are we talking?
I think it's more about the mount than the tower itself.
Are we talking if we're talking Block 2 ship plus Block 2 booster, then
Yes.
they need to destroy the entire mount, because the Block 2 booster will not be compatible with this mount. There's too many changes they have to make to it to make it compatible. In terms of the tower itself, well, Block 2 booster is supposed to be a ring taller, which means they'll have to move the ship QD up another ring, because the QD is in the same spot on a Block 2 ship. It's just you're adding a ring to Block 2 booster. However, there is the fact that we don't know the height of the OLM when they rebuild it, so they may actually be able to bring the QD down. So there is that, because it may not, because you now have a trench below it, so you don't really need to make the OLM higher off the ground. So there's changes that have to get made, but yeah, it's a lot of speculation.
Well, I mean, in the absence of concrete information, that's really all we can do. James, thanks for grabbing the patch. They say the patches are great. John, thank you for grabbing the patch. They say best coverage on the planet. Thanks for all you do. You guys are being so sweet today. It's like, how do you even appropriately say thanks? Jeffrey grabbing the Flight 1, 2, and 5 patches. They say, evening, Chris and the crew. Miss you all. Need another NSF live. SpaceX Starfleet Academy. Where do I sign up? I mean, I think you're in the right place.
We'll get DOS on that, right?
The NSF Starfleet Academy.
Yeah.
It could be like Space Camp. You could come to Boca and I'll show you how to lug batteries around the dunes. Go, go, go! Come on, maggot! Level that camera! I don't know why it turned into boot camp all of a sudden, but there you go.
You can see
Alex
the ship
Fisher.
now almost empty. Sorry.
No, you're good. Yeah, it looks like mostly residual frost on the ship at this point. And the tower vent even is like kind of getting to a point where it's sort of petering out. So we have a question here from Alex asking, what are the differences in mission objectives between Flight 4 and 5? As it stands right now, today, I think it's catch of the booster is the biggest one, right? Beyond that,
Test the new heat shield.
yeah, new heat shield. Thank you. I hadn't thought of that, but you're right. They did a complete overhaul on Ship 30's heat shield, so that is definitely a big objective. I mean, it's not necessarily a difference in mission objective. They wanted to test the heat shield on the last flight. They want to test the heat shield on this next flight, but they've changed the heat shield. So, partial credit. John with a store purchase. Thank you for that. I got the patch. Surprise, surprise. Jody, thank you for the store purchases. No, store purchase. They got the patch. Wow, everyone's getting the patch today. This was great. They say it was great to see Jack and Mary at Starbase last week. Oh, awesome. I do always love when people come up and say, hey. I'm out of NSF stickers right now, but the usual deal is if you find me in Starbase or Mary or whoever, you get a sticker. But I think we're out of stickers right now. We need to get more. But you do get a patch. Not a Flight 5 patch, but a small rectangular patch that says NSF on it. So if you ever are in Starbase and you see one of us, come say hi. We always love meeting viewers. And you will get a patch out of it. RC Horseman's asking, how can they catch the ship without damaging the tiles? That's an interesting question. Do we have any thoughts on how they might be able to pull that off? Or will some tile damage just be inevitable and they'll have to make that part of the ship refurb process?
I mean, if they truly want their turnaround, the turnaround that they want, well, then they can't damage any tiles when they catch it. So their plan for booster is basically to slap the booster. And I think that is depress, I think. Or started depress. Anyways, their plan to catch the booster is basically to kind of slap it just below the chopstick stabilization points and then it ride down and whatnot. They can't really do that with ship because they would destroy a ton of tiles. So I really don't know what their plan is in the long run to catch it. They have to have some kind of deployable pin system as well. So there's just a lot there. Final depress.
I love always how the sound goes higher and higher and higher pitched as the pressure goes lower.
It's like a cartoon tea kettle, or I guess a real life tea kettle. That's always a nice effect. Junder Gaming is asking, assuming Flight 5 catch goes perfectly, how many subsequent catches until we think they will reuse a booster? Ryan, you get to go first, bud.
I mean, I don't know if they're gonna reuse any Block 1 boosters. I really don't, because if they did, then I could see them reusing even like Booster 13. But the problem is reusing it means that you don't use one of your other already made Block 1 boosters for Pad 1, and the Block 1 booster is only going to work on Pad 1, Pad A. So I don't think they're going to reuse it until their first Block 2 booster. I think they'll try for catching, they'll get that nailed down so that when they do get to Block 2 booster, they've got like a refurbishment process and or a catch. They got the system down basically once they start actually catching and reusing the vehicles. So I think that's what they're going to do.
Adrian, what do you think? When reuse?
I think on the third booster they catch will be the one they reuse.
Talking while muted, sorry. A really loud truck just went by. King Behemoth is asking, do we think the chopsticks will hold the weight of a booster landing on it? I mean, they better.
Yeah.
Yes.
When they just did that structural testing, that's what I'll call it, the amount of water was about 700 tons. a landed booster is probably going to be in the 350, maybe max 400 range. It depends on how much residual propellant's still left in it. But no, they'll be fine. They'll withstand up to it.
Yeah. I think I'm not worried about the chopsticks. I think they'll be just fine. I'm more worried about the tank farm.
Yeah.
if the booster, if something goes awry at the last second, or it just clips one side and falls to where that's what I'm worried about, not the tower or the chopsticks. Also, quick important update going on in the background here. I'm getting very angry messages from Alex, so thank you everybody for conveying that message.
Important update.
Yeah, I know everyone was dying to know how that's going. It's going great.
It's going well.
It's going swimmingly. 98 Central is asking, is the license an actual piece of paper that they have to put on display in an inconspicuous spot, like licenses for businesses, elevators, etc.? Adrian, you're sort of our liaison with the FAA a lot of the time.
There's not a physical there's not like a launch license that gets delivered in an envelope to SpaceX with a seal, and no, it's not.
I'm picturing like a literal driver's license, and the picture is just the full stack. It's like age 1 year, blood type CH4, height I don't know, what is it, 400 meters, something like that. Liam grabbing a whole bunch of patches from the store. Thank you. They say, love the designs. How big do you see the space industry being once we have people on the moon and Mars? Asking for my Rocket Lab shares. I was talking with someone a little bit earlier today. Starship is going to unlock such an incredible amount of potential for getting large bits of hardware into space and down on the surface of the moon or Mars. And there's going to have to be companies out there that are making things like a space excavator so that we can mine water. Companies that are making things like a space dump truck. Like all of the infrastructure that you would associate with a mine on Earth, that infrastructure to a certain extent is going to have to be duplicated, but for a low gravity environment off world. And even it's not even going to be necessarily rocket companies. Like I see this industry getting very huge with everybody filling in the various niches and whatnot, and that's going to be really exciting. This is not investment advice. Yeah,
this is absolutely not investment advice. What to do with your Rocket Lab shares? Just to clarify,
NASASpaceflight not responsible.
Gary, thank you for grabbing the patch. They say take care of them folks in Florida. Indeed. Heart goes out to everybody in the path of Milton right now. Also, can we, this is so far down a rabbit hole, but can we talk about storm naming for a second? If we're going to make a list of names, can we? If we're going to make a list of names of storms, can we at least make them sound a little bit more formidable than just Milton? Come on, it's a serious thing, and it's like Milton. Yeah, Milton might really mess up Florida.
Somebody called Milton is watching the stream right now and is really offended.
Okay, I'm not trying. I'm legitimately not trying to offend. I think Milton's a cool name for a person. For a storm, it's I don't know. We should be calling these storms Destructor 7 or something. There's something with a cool name that you fear. Because you should be scared of these things and evacuate if you're in the path and take them seriously. Are you really going to take Storm Milton seriously? All right, I'll stop. Adrian, what's going on with Space Creator Day?
Oh yeah, I want to quickly mention that because it's an event I'm now doing for the third time in a row, the third year, which is the German Space Creator Day, which is happening in Spire in 4 days actually. And I'm doing another panel there. I will do a Starship update where I will compare what happened between the last year of Starship versus now. So basically, like doing a 365, and it's a very cool event, especially if you're German. It inspires next to the Technical Museum, which means you can also check out things like the Buran, which is there, by the way. So if you're interested in maybe
it's also not as good as Shuttle, but yes, it is there.
Yeah, yes. But it's a cool thing, like, to combine. You can meet a lot of space fans. You can meet a lot of like people that are just excited as you about space, and I really think it's honestly one of the highlights of my year, because it grew from such a like small little event to now being absolutely crazy. And yeah, if you want to meet there, make sure to get your tickets, because there are still some tickets, and again, you can also go to the museum next door if you're interested in that as well. I just wanted to quickly mention that before we go on.
Yeah, that's super cool. So wait, sorry. Is this the thing that you gave like a talk at in previous years?
Yes, last year that was a kind of fun story, because I thought so I did a panel on how to write YouTube videos, and it was like a small workshop, and we thought like nobody's going to be interested in that, and then we had to change rooms because so many big people were interested in that. So that was interesting, and it turned out into a Q&A of Starship. So there we go. And yeah, I'm doing last year I did a presentation on like NSF's facilities at Starbase with like DAS approved pictures and stuff like that. And this year I'm doing a more of a like rewind the last 365 days what happened. So yeah,
nice.
I'm always looking forward to this event, and I can fully endorse it. It's a cool event.
A cool event.
A cool event.
What?
Yeah, you could hear my voice and my brain going there. I'm so sorry.
We'll just go with it, Jack. We'll just go with it. Just kind of, yeah.
Like it's one of these review notes where like you have like below the webpage of like the New York Times called it, and like there's like it's a cool event, Adrian.
Siskel and Ebert give it 6 cools up. I don't know anymore. More questions. Cool Content is asking, do you think they'll build a protection wall for Pad B for the tank farm? I think that's a safe bet. Adrian, what do you think they'll build, like some kind of berm like we can see there between Pad A and the tank farm? Do you think there'll be like a berm between Pad B and the tank farm, or maybe not, because the flame trench will kind of handle a lot of that?
Yeah. I think. I mean, at some point, if you have time, why not build some protection walls? Yeah, I could see it for sure.
Now we have 3 tanker trucks lined up at the roadblock, which is still active, as you can see there on the left-hand side of the screen.
Yeah, they're really waiting.
Right. Probably a good sign that the road will, in fact, be opening soon, along with the fact that there's no more frost on the vehicle. Although, you never know, SpaceX's testing window today does go all the way until 10 p.m. So, who knows? Joy, thank you for grabbing a hoodie from the store. They say, I figured I can support this amazing channel and start dressing better at the same time. Thank you for the great things you do. Oh, that's so sweet. Holy cow, thank you so much. I'm sure you dress fine. Thomas? Wow. Okay, Thomas went hog wild in the store. Let's see. They got the Raptor Wrangler shirt, the Texas Tank Watcher shirt, the Flight 5 patch, the Flight 1 patch, and the Flight 2 patch. They say, why is the Raptor Wrangler not on a hoodie?
That's a good
Adrian,
question.
how come we don't have Raptor Wrangler in hoodie form?
It's so boring answer, but because there was a point where we made like changes to what we offer on certain collections, and that probably was before that. But there's a certain person that wants to like relaunch some of the older designs and make them like updated on them, how we present them now. So yeah, it's probably copious free time kind of thing, but at some point we need to make that happen. I fully agree.
I don't want to spoil anything, but I'm really excited for the return of one particular old school NSF merch item wise. And you might get a sneak peek of it in this week's Starbase update, in fact. So keep your eyes peeled for when... Oh, hey, is the road open?
Well, we got
Maybe?
a car going to the pad.
Maybe. Well, we'll keep an eye on that. Hopefully, we see these law enforcement officers get in their cars and drive away here shortly. Julian, thanks for the support with a store purchase. What did you get? They got the patch for Flight 5. They say, here's hoping it matches the real flight. Yeah, for real. It's going to be a crazy sight to see. OFT3 patch is the person's name. They got...
Great name.
Yeah, great name. No, they did a $5 super chat. They say, seek and you shall find. Jonathan grabbing a couple things from the store. They've been following since the Artemis SRB test fires. Looking forward to Flight 5. Oh man, I can't wait to go back to Promontory. Next year when they do fire that Bowley booster as part of the test of it before it gets certified for use on SLS. I am definitely going to be there for it. And it is a treat just seeing one of those massive solids just fire straight into a mountainside. Pretty darn neat.
Like you just go fire a rocket engine into a mountainside, that's all.
I know, right? Apparently it turns a bunch of that mountainside, like all the dirt and everything, it'll just glassify it, which is pretty nifty. It's like, it's not trinitite, it's not from an atomic bomb test, but it's, I don't know, rocketite?
Boosted SRB?
Yeah. Boosterite? Yeah.
Boosterite. Boosterite sounds nice.
It does. It does sound nice. More cars to the pad, question mark?
Yeah.
Yep, looks like it.
More cars to the pad.
We are in carbs. I think we are in full on. The road is being open territory slowly.
Looks like the road is being opened, which means I get to very shortly run out there and check my time-lapse camera, which hopefully worked, because for the last partial tanking test, it did not. And I want a cool time-lapse, dang it.
Just gotta wait for the sheriff to leave here.
Right. Andre, thank you for the support. What'd they get? The Flight 2 patch and the Flight 1 patch.
Nice.
They say thanks for all you guys. Thanks to all of you guys for the cool, informative, and sometimes funny coverage.
Sometimes funny?
Hey, we're sometimes funny. No, I'll take it. I'll absolutely take it. It's better than annoyingly, it's sometimes funny, better than annoying.
I still, I will not go on to this.
Okay, moving on. I'll spare you. Bob, thank you for grabbing they got the Flight 5 t-shirt. They say, thanks for being awesome. Same guy. Thanks for being awesome and occasionally funny. No, different guy. Oh my gosh. Well, sometimes we're funny. Let's see. Oh my god, Gwen guessed it. I'm not going to repeat it, but Gwen guessed what it was. The merch item.
Don't say it.
I'm not going to say it, but Gwen in chat definitely got it. Interesting that the tankers haven't moved yet.
I guess the road isn't technically open. It's open to maybe SpaceX personnel, but not open to the public yet.
There's like an angry-looking sheriff car still parking on that road.
Yeah.
Right. Here you can see the cars that we've been seeing going to the pad passing by Danger Trailer. So that is in progress. I wonder if this is like outside. It's such a nice day, Ryan. It's crazy because here you don't get a lot of days that are perfect. You get a lot of days that are on one end of the one extreme end of the spectrum or the other. But in between seasons, like when you're transitioning from one season to another, you'll get like a handful of days that are just delightful. And they could not have picked a nicer day to do a mini wet dress. Just beautiful. No complaints from me. No bugs. No searing heat. I mean, it's hot, but it's not searing.
Humidity seems kind of nice too, 59%.
Right.
It's not
And
bad.
it's nice and it's like pretty dang crisp out.
Yeah.
So yeah, good day for a good test. I wonder if we'll get any further confirmation or commentary from SpaceX on the socials. Anonymous grabbing the Flight 5 patch. They thank you so much. They say, with Booster 4 being nearly empty and buoyant upon landing, why all the serious damage from floating to the bottom of the ocean? Was it that deep it had time to obtain serious velocity? I assume they're talking about Booster 11, which we have seen pieces come back into port. I think that what you're seeing as damage might be where the robotic operated vehicles and or divers, if there were divers, use torches, cutting torches, to make the pieces smaller so that they could be hoisted onto the deck.
I don't think so.
Well, you think it would?
I think it blew up. Like
Really?
the landing tank blew up, and the outer ring of engine. They basically the aft dome separated from the aft is what I think happened.
Some of those cuts looked really straight and clean. I don't know. I'm not an expert.
I think the weld line failed. Is I think what happened. So I think it literally unzipped. So
Yikes.
Yeah.
AKNYT, thank you for the. Oh, road open.
Road open.
Road open. All right. Thank you for the very generous super chat. They say, greetings from Hungary. Thanks for everything. You're so welcome. Brian, thanks for the store purchase. Pascal, thank you for the store purchase. They say spider patch, crab patch, grackle patch. I like all of these ideas.
No.
Yes, no, they're all great.
No. Absolutely not.
I'm gonna bite my tongue. I'm not gonna request that people send you spider patch designs. I'm just gonna move on.
There's such a weird crossover happening for me right now because one of my favorite video games has an arachnophobia mode now, where they change spiders into crabs.
Oh no!
What?
Yeah, so this is a weird crossover for me.
All right, let me just finish thanking everybody here. Rob, thanks for the store purchase, getting the Flight 5 patch. Bill, also getting the they got the IFT2 patch and the Flight 5 patch. They say, thanks guys, been watching since Hopper. Love your outstanding coverage. Nathaniel, grabbing the Flight 5 patch. I'm not gonna. Does anybody want to try and read this? I'm not gonna be able to read this.
Betty Butter bought some butter, but she said the butter's bitter. If I put it in my batter, it will make my batter bitter, but a bit of better butter will make my batter better. So it was better. Betty Butter bought a bit of better butter.
Wow. A+.
Wow. What?
A+, Adrian.
Yeah.
That was actually okay, right?
Yeah.
Nice.
Anonymous grabbing the Flight 2 and Flight 5 patch. They say, I've always appreciated all of your dailies. Have never missed one. Thanks, you guys. Oh, that's amazing. A lot of work goes into all of the videos we produce. And the dailies are like, I mean, it's tough. You got to be out here catching stuff in order to make enough footage to put in a video. So thank you. That means a lot. Rick, thank you for the support. They got Flight 5 patch. Sorry, my iPad is starting to lag. They say I support the earliest launch for Flight 5, and I have the patch to prove it.
Oh, did you say did you say your iPad starts to lag? Does it have the panel open?
It does have the panel open. Yes.
So, chat. Sometimes the panel starts to lag if too many people order a patch. I'm just saying that because it annoys Jay.
Every time something happens with the panel that's off nominal, like 6 people are all start hitting Jay up in the back channel, like, Jay. Here we have a question from Noel, along with a store purchase of the patch. They say, hey guys, love your work. I'm just ordering the patch 5, but I missed buying patch 3. Any chance you have some lying around that I could purchase? Cheers, and keep up the good work.
Nope. Sorry.
Unfortunately, no. Like we say it and we mean it. Once they're gone, they're gone. Sorry, buddy.
Yep. Sorry.
And finally, Travis Cecil, thank you for the $10 super chat. They say eye patch with NSF logo, asking for a friend.
So that would
I
also
think
be a
that would
patch.
cool.
Yeah.
That would be a patch.
But I think there's like a very limited daily practical use of an eye patch.
Unless you like need one for whatever.
Yeah,
for
like
whatever
for
reason.
medical reasons. But then usually
yeah.
get an eye patch.
You know what we should make? We should make NSF sleeping masks. Because I'm often trying to catch up on sleep during daylight hours when it's just I just sleep better when it's dark out. And I'll like put a shirt over my head or put a pillow over my head or something like that. I've been meaning to get an eye mask, and I've been inspired now by this super chat. We should make NSF branded sleeping masks. It's just on brand.
Yeah, it could say something like, I don't know, when sleep or wake me up when the license drops, stuff like that.
Yeah, both of those are amazing.
That's actually pretty good.
When snore, I don't know.
Yeah. I did the 24-hour Starship coverage, and all I got was this eye patch.
Oh, man. Good times. Well, it looks like testing is wrapped up with the road having been opened. Thank you all so much for watching the stream today. A little bit more propellant load testing for the Flight 5 full stack. We did have Chris on earlier at NASASpaceflight Actual. So thanks to Chris for being on. Make sure you follow Chris on X for all of the appropriate updates as we continue through this chaos week, not knowing what exactly is going to happen on the 13th yet. But yeah, NSF on all the socials, wherever you prefer to get them, whether it's Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, or X, the Everything app. Be sure to follow. Adrian, thanks for being on, buddy.
Yeah, thanks for having me. That was fun. I am glad we got this done now, and let's see what the next test is.
Indeed. I'm super curious to find out. Also, Ryan, thank you for being on as well, bud.
It's a pleasure as always, Jack. And if you want an accurate description of what's going to happen next week, just get an 8-ball. I think that'll cover it.
Yeah, I mean, I need a chat time traveler. If you're a time traveler, please go into my Twitter DMs and tell me what happened.
Also, go into my Twitter DMs and tell me what sports teams to bet on for like the next 10 Super Bowls or something. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay.
Also, operating today's stream was Jay. Thank you, Jay, for operating today's stream.
Thank you,
and I'm
Jay.
Jetfire.
Okay.
With that, we will leave y'all nerds to hang out and watch Starbase live. And there is a Starbase update coming later on today, so stay tuned for that. Until next time, we'll see you nerds later.
And here we go. We have liftoff. Propulsion continues to be normal.
R68 chamber pressure looks good.
Doubling up. Roger, with planet.
Water towers fly! Yes! Tango down to nominal.
Fighting down to SPD off. Bring in SPD off. It's orange!
Oh my god! Oh my god!
Decollage.
What is it?
Put that in the big bag, Eagle.
343 unfolds to go.
Indeed.
We rise together, back to the moon and beyond.
This methane would be igniting in the flare, correct?
Yikes. You bet. We don't need any more of these.